Okay, first things first, let's start at this end of the set and work our way forward. First of all, I'm not sure if the restricted movement on this turntable is meant to be, but either way, if we have a look at the turntable, even when it's gone as far as it can, it doesn't quite line up properly. And this, especially with, a train that's got carriages, probably not the best example to use James, since his front part doesn't have any wheels, but, my goodness. For a first thing, I suppose, the tender comes off a lot because of James's lack of wheels, because he doesn't have the same height. Let's see, if we pull these over, James is going along. You can see you sort of don't really notice it, but I think it could have been a problem better addressed, the misalignment. However, my next gripe is this. James has been given a set with a turntable. Now my question really is to Bluebird Company, why would you do that? Not only is James a tender engine, which means he's bigger, but this is also a really awkward turntable. It's on the curve. And you can see that James goes onto the turntable, doesn't even fit in his shed, and then comes onto the turntable and can't really spin around because he's too big for the turntable. So it really has me asking why James was included in this set, when he's just a bit big and cumbersome. And because of the small nature of this set, as you can see, you don't get as much play value because physically James can't go as far as, say, Thomas can, or Percy could. And so I think my major recommendation for this set is a Percy set should have been made this size, possibly with a truck or possibly with a coach. And then we could have had James in this set, which is probably planned, we still got the third berth, because you got the bigger corners, and it's just bigger, so James would have a easier time maneuvering around. Okay, so my second thing is, why does these roofs come off? Like, they're sort of cool, but all they are is asking for something to be broken off for a child. My next thing is, this antenna, as you can see, is bent. Now, the reason for this is when you fold up the set, as I can show you right now. Oh, that tree's going to fall out. Anyway. If it's on the side, it doesn't close, and so a kid's probably forcibly closed it and bent it. And so what has to be made sure is that this antenna dish thing is straight so that it lines up there. And I think that that's a flaw, because kids, when, my parents say, oh yeah, quickly, let's go, we're going on holidays, bring your Thomas Bluebird set, I'm just going to slam it shut, and that's how things like that get broken off. And as I said, my last major problem with this set is the lack of a loop. Because, let's face it, kids don't want to make their trains go backwards and forwards. Especially a tender engine like James, which, as I said, is awkward because he's got a tender and you sort of have to pull him along, and then, well, James just isn't really suited to this kind of set. However, if we bring Thomas over here, he's much more suited. He fits on the turntable. You spin him around, and Thomas can continue on his journey all the way down to the station. And I think tank engine included in this set would be a much better choice, simply because of the size. But I think that a loop would have been better. I mean, it's visually appealing to not have a loop and have buildings there, but I think a loop like Thomas's set over here would have had better play value. Now, speaking of Thomas's set, Thomas isn't compatible with this set. Yes, that's right. Not only did Bluebird Company say, hey, let's make this set over here, and I'm pretty sure the magnetic set, but I'm not sure, at a different scale to these ones, let's also make it so that Thomas doesn't fit in the shed. If we have a look here, we can turn the turntable around, and sure enough, Thomas is a tiny bit too fat to fit in the shed. Now, this once again causes problems not only because kids are going to shove it in and either jam or break the engine, or they're just going to lose interest. Because what is the point of a shed if the engines don't fit in it? Like, why do they need to put these here? Why couldn't they just have them over here, since there's no tracks? And then we wouldn't have had a problem with the width of the engines trying to get in there. Apart from that, though, Thomas is compatible with this set, which is encouraging. But then once again, because this set has that really awkward hill, James feels a little bit out of place on this set over here. And so doesn't really go. Like, he sort of does, but once again, not great. And then, so my last gripe, of course, is why the different scale? Why would you do that to us? Well, they make this amazing playset at a different scale to these ones, so that you can't use them. Preferably, I would have actually rather them to be at this tiny scale, because I think it's a bit more... It's cuter. It really is. A little bit cuter than the, you know, bigger Bluebird sets. And also, then it would take up less space, but... What I would have liked is for them all to be the same size. Okay, so... Do I recommend this set? Well, once again, I think I'm sort of going to say the same thing I said last time. Sort of. If you're a Thomas fan, these sets are all a must. I think that they're really interesting addition to your collection, and I think they're really good. Now, as I said, you see I had the problem, which is that mine didn't really depict properly that James was missing his wheels. I didn't realise until it arrived in the mail today, but then I looked back very closely at the pictures and realised that he was resting against the ground and there were no shots of him like this. So I couldn't tell that he was missing those wheels. But this is still the best condition set I've seen, personally, on eBay for sale so far. So now I'm just looking for James as a locomotive. So I think this is a really good set to actually get if you want to collect it. But if someone said, oh, Jimmy, which Bluebird set would you recommend? I still think I'd say this one. Because not only does it come with a really cute sized Thomas, although it does have some faults, it comes with the truck, and there's lots of play features. You've got the logs, which as you can see are sort of spread everywhere at the moment. You've got the removable trees, so you can play with those. You've got the boulders, you've got Terrence, and you've got Thomas, and you've got the truck. So I think, and this hill, which is great for crashes, as you can see. So I think this set, as I started said, is a little bit better than this one here. The James set is a much more suitable expansion pack to this set. But I think that Bluebird had a really great concept, and they were really gunning for something good. But there's just a few things which I think they could have refined. A bit like the Backman trains. They have a really good model, but their faces are just off. Anyway, that's all we've got time for from TrainzXtreme, and I hope you've enjoyed and been informed by this review.